Happy Friday. Welcome to another version of the Friday Five. I'm Dan. This is probably my favourite time of the week, Nelly, because I get to answer some questions from you guys. 5 popular questions from the week. And like I say, I don't know much about much. I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, but I do understand health and fitness, and I enjoy doing these questions every week. So let's get ripping into it. All right, question 1. What are the best exercises to lose my jelly belly? All right. I've heard it described as a jelly belly a lot of times. So here we go. Very common thing. How do I get the jelly belly or the excess flub or whatever you want to call it off my tummy? Okay, so first thing is let's get away from exercise for a second and let's look at probably the 2 things that really contribute to that the most. First one, unfortunately, your diet, nutritionally. That's going to be the single biggest thing that's going to help you lose body fat off that area of your body. You've got to be a little disciplined with your diet if you want to lose some fat off your belly. Yes, that with exercise will be the 2 best things that marry together to help you lose that that jelly belly, if that's what you want to call it. The second thing is stress. Now, this is something that's not really thought about, but stress is a big one too. So if you live in a world, or you live in a life of heightened stress, then that also can cause you to store fat around your belly and other areas. So what happens is if you're stressed day in, day out, say work or, financially, or, you're having problems with emotionally, you're having problems with family or friends or whatever, every time you're basically stressed, you're sending a message to your body to say that there's uncertainty in the world. And what happens there is that your body has a primitive response to that, and that is to store fat to protect your body because it doesn't know what's going on. So whenever you're stressed, heightened, your body says, wait, what's going on? Uncertainty, let's store fat, let's protect ourselves. Because if you think back into primitive days, right, when we're hunter-gatherers and we're walking through the jungle and we see a lion's footprint or whatever it might be, what do you think the first thing we're going to do is? We're going to go, holy crap, and we're into survival mode, or what we call a fight or flight mode. And so we, over years and years and years, thousands and thousands of years, we still have these instincts in our body. The problem is these days is we don't really live in that world anymore, but we live in a world now where we have stress in other areas, right? Like I mentioned, financial, kids, we've got work pressures, all this stuff. So managing your own stress levels is really important too, right? So whether some people meditate, some people go out for walks, whatever. Obviously exercise is one of the best ones you can do. So for me, it comes down to diet and stress. Now, in terms of exercise, if you're doing a full body kind of exercise plan, you've got a mixture of cardio and resistance-based training, you're on a winner. There is a myth out there that if I do lots of sit-ups and crunches and stuff, I'm going to burn the body fat off my belly. No, that's not how it works. That will strengthen the muscles in your belly, but it won't burn the layer of body fat over the top of that, the jelly belly that you're trying to get rid of. So, little discipline with the diet, consistent exercise, and manage your stress levels. That's going to be the best things for you in terms of getting rid of that weight. And it will be a consistent process over time, but it can be done. All right. Number 2, do you have any tips on how to recover quicker after cardio? I feel like it takes me forever to get my breathing back, especially after that damn air bike. Yes. The air bike or the assault bike. We all know that one for you guys at CoreFit anyway. I do have a quick tip for this. So just imagine you've done a really heavy 20-second sprint or something on the air bike and you're getting off and you want to move to another exercise and you're like, holy moly, man, you're trying to get your heart rate back and you can't. There is actually a technique which I learned off one of our previous members actually who's a nurse, and this was fantastic. And I've been doing this my whole life without even realizing. It's called pursed lips breathing. Okay, and so what happens here is when you're trying to lower your heart rate back down and get your breathing back into order, if you think about it, when you breathe in, you breathe in carbon dioxide, and you breathe in, oxygen, and when you breathe out carbon dioxide, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to slow the amount of breathing down so that we can get your heart rate back and you can continue on to your next station without feeling like you have to sit down on a chair. So what happens is I breathe in, and I just breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. I have a kind of steadier or a faster pace of breath. If I actually purse my lips when I breathe out, it naturally slows my breathing down, which is a great thing. So for instance, breathe in, purse my lips, and the rate of my breath out decreases naturally because I can't breathe out fast with pursed lips. And so what happens is it forces your body to actually slow down its breathing rate, which is fantastic. And that's the best way you can actually recover quicker from cardio is pursed lips breathing. So breathe in, breathe out with pursed lips, and focus on doing that cyclically until you start to get your heart rate back down quicker, which it will. Hope that helps. Number 3, am I better to do more reps with a heavier weight? More reps with a weight I'm comfortable with, or less reps with a heavier weight? Okay, so this person's talking about doing, like, say, lifting weights. So, great question, very, very common question we get. And so if you think about it, in general, low reps with a heavier weight will build more muscle mass, so more, I guess you call it bulky muscle, right, over time. That's what we call, say, strength training typically. So in between 1 to 6 reps consistently. And so that's good for people doing like powerlifting and maybe bodybuilding in certain stages of their program and athletes in certain stages of the program. Then you've got your typical kind of very common hypertrophy, what we call it in fitness, which is around that 8 to 15 rep mark, which is what most people will do. It's kind of like your bodybuilders are, just people looking to look athletically toned, things like that. Then you've got muscular endurance reps, which is between kind of, generally 20 plus reps. Again, great for if you want to kind of, toning your muscle, leaning out your muscle. If you've got things like you're training for endurance events like triathlons and whatever marathons, then you want to kind of train your body towards that endurance phase. So they're the 3 phases of kind of reps when it comes to counting your reps. Now, my biggest thing here would be, say, if you're just generally looking to get healthier and stronger or fitter or whatever, then it's good to have a mixture of both. Sometimes it's good to challenge yourself with the heavier weight and to go less reps to see what strength you have. And sometimes it's good just to punch out higher reps, and you can mix up the kind of modals there a little bit, which is good. It depends on what you kind of want, right? If you want to be stronger and really kind of put on some more muscle mass, then yeah, go heavier and come down a bit in your reps. But if not, if you're a girl, for instance, you just want to kind of tone up a little bit, then hey, go higher, that's fine. Here's the thing though, you need to find the right amount of weight for the right amount of reps. And so what I mean by that is, regardless of whether you're lifting 12 reps or 6 reps, the weight you have has to challenge you for that amount of reps that you're doing, right? So what I like to say to people is that ultimately you want the last, say, 2, 3, 4 reps of your set to really challenge you. You don't want to just kind of do your last rep, put it down, and then have a yawn and feel like you've accomplished something. You want to be busting your bum to get those reps out. Now, you need to be doing that with good technique. And let's underline that, good technique, right? We've all seen the guy at the gym who's doing the shoulder press and, looks a bit funky. He's like, it doesn't look right from over here. And he's starting to bend his back and it's all his posture's going out of control. And, lifting heavy is great, but it's not great when you don't do it right, because you're going to hurt yourself in the long run if you don't do it there. So good technique, challenge yourself to the last few reps, and mix up your repetition range. Unless you're looking to train specifically for something, it's great. Sometimes you have days where you're like, stuff it, I'm going to go heavier and I'm going to lift less reps and I'm going to go for it, and that's good. And other days you're like, you know what, I'm just going to pull back, I'm going to lift a lighter weight, but I'm going to challenge myself for more reps, and that's okay too. All right, good stuff. Hope that helps. All right, question 4. I started training 6 weeks ago and I still have muscle soreness. When will this go away? I've been training for about 15 years and I still get it. So here we go. Right, muscle soreness. Let's talk a bit about muscle soreness. It's typically known as DOMS. So that stands for delayed onset muscle soreness. And so basically this generally lasts between 24 to 48 hours normally after a workout. Now, it'll be different for different people. Different workouts will affect the amount of soreness you get. Things like genetics, whether you're dehydrated, whether you've had good sleep, how you've recovered, have you sat down on a chair for 2 days after your workout, or are you actively moving? These things will kind of dictate sometimes how sore you can be. The other thing is how conditioned you are. So you probably remember your first ever workout. I'll tell you a story about mine. So when I was about 16, I think, I went to the gym with a friend of mine who'd started going, and we were both in high school. And I went along with him, And first ever workout I ever did in a gym. Anyway, walked in. I had no idea what I was doing, obviously, and he probably didn't either, but he was showing me how to do the machines. And I did some machines and whatever. And anyway, so the next day, went to school and I said to him, man, you sore? I'm really sore. Yeah. And then 2 days later, I had the next 3 days off school because I thought I had a virus. I ended up going to the doctor. And it's because my body was so sore, and it's what we call severe DOMS, so sore that my body had never experienced that before, right? It was like in a state of shock. And I'm sure you may have experienced something like that before too, right? And so we don't want to get severe DOMS because that stops us from living life. And that's not fun. But sometimes, depending on what stage you are in your program, you will get it usually harder in the beginning because your body is going through a shock phase and it's not used to it, but it starts to get a bit better as you start adapting. Your body will adapt to different exercises. That being said, some exercise workouts are harder than others and some will challenge you in different ways, and you may do a workout which is just full upper body and you'll feel it more in your upper body. You may do a full body workout and you won't feel it as much. So there are different things like that. What causes DOMS? I don't think it's really scientifically proven in terms of what causes it, but what basically happens is that when you are, say, doing lifting weights or body weight exercise, you are putting your muscles under tension, and over the next 24 to 48 hours after your workout, your muscles, what happens during the workout, you cause little microscopic tears within the muscle, and then as they repair 1 to 2 days after the workout, that's where the soreness starts to kind of come in. So it's thought that process is what causes that soreness and the tension and all that stuff. But again, if you want to kind of try and prevent as much of it as happening as possible, then stay hydrated. That's the biggest tip. A lot of people walk the streets dehydrated. You need to keep drinking. Stay active after your workout, walk around a little bit, stretching a little bit. Things like that can kind of help. If you sit down on a couch and all the muscles just become tighter and tighter and tighter and they don't move, that can kind of add to the soreness, I find. And again, manage your sleep, things like that, that'll help as well. So they're probably 3 tips. I hope that helps. But yep, soreness, it'll keep coming in different ways. And one more thing, can I just say, just because you're sore after a workout, it doesn't mean you've had a better workout than someone else who's not sore. Let's just get that clear, right? So it's like, oh, are you sore? I'm sore. Well, you mustn't have worked hard enough. Well, no, that's not how it works. Genetics is a big thing in this too, right? We know people who bust their butt, but they're never kind of sore like some other people are. So just because you're not sore doesn't mean you didn't have a great workout. Just because you're sore doesn't mean you had a great workout, whatever. It's just the way your body has reacted to the exercise. Cool. Number 5, last question. I get discouraged when I don't perform as well as I think I should and in a session. Does this happen to you, Dan? How do you stay motivated? All right, great question. So this person I know, and they're saying that they get discouraged when they don't perform as well in a session. And look, I've got to be brutally honest here. I mean, yes, I've been there. Tell you a story. So last year I was training really hard on bike and training for a cycling event down at the Snowy Mountains, which I accomplished, and the goal was to finish that event. And so I had a purpose. I had a purpose to train for that event, and that kept me motivated, kept me going, and it was great. Then I did the event, and you know what? I was like, I'm kind of over the bike now. I'm over the long hours. I want to do something else now. I want to put some weight back on and maybe do some other stuff. But I didn't really have any fuel there. I started getting back into doing some more weight stuff and whatever, but it was a real grind, and it was a grind this year for probably about 6 months. And, I'd do the workouts, and I knew I needed to do them for my mental health, and because I know it's important to me to do that stuff, but I wasn't enjoying the workouts as much as what I'm trying to say. And it sounds like this person's in the same thing, right? Some workouts you just don't feel it. And you're just like, man, this thing's supposed to be great and I'm supposed to feel good, and sometimes you just don't feel it. And that's totally okay, all right? You're not a robot, you're a human. Now, for me personally, this started to change for me when I actually set a goal to do Ninja Warrior, and I thought, right, well, I'm going to have a crack at this. People keep telling me to do it, so I'm going to have a nudge, and I'm going to put my audition thing in and have a go. And it started something in me to go, right, well, I need to start putting a plan together to start working towards this now, right? And that motivated me straight away, and I have a plan. I'm working towards it. That's how I roll, but it doesn't mean that's how you should roll. Let's get that clear. So I work better personally when I work towards something tangible to achieve, all right? But for you, it may be different. I know people who have been consistently exercising for years and they're still in great shape and they've never really had specific goals. They just work out because they love the enjoyment of it and they love what benefits working out gives them. So you've got to find what works for you. And what I will say is that motivation, really the best friend of motivation is progress. All right. So if you don't have progress, then motivation, the valve starts to deflate. And so what you need to do is either A, set a goal towards something that you feel like you actually want to do. Doesn't have to be weight loss always. It can be something performance based, or you want to get stronger in something or whatever. Great, do that if that works for you. Otherwise, you've got to start looking for progress in other areas of your health, right? Because I guarantee it's there. You've just got to remove the blinkers and look for it. And so often it's like, what can you do now that you couldn't do before? Oh, well, I can run around the shed a little bit more. Or I can pick up my kids now without pain. Or I can, I'm able to walk up that hill now without losing my breath. Great. These are all things of progress, right? I think we forget these things sometimes. So it's important to look for progress, or maybe even set a goal towards something you want to do that's new, that refreshes you a little bit, and chat to us if you need that help. So I hope that answers your question. That's the Friday 5 for another week. Got a couple more weeks before the end of the year until we have a break. But any more questions, roll them through. Look forward to answering them. Have a great week ahead and stay healthy. Take care. Bye-bye.